Three claps. Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast, the official podcast of the Tattoo Improvement Network. My name is Jake Meeks. I'm the host of this show all day. And actually, this is our first solo show in who knows how long. We have done one before. I remember I stood over there and I stood up. It was a standing show. And the title of the show, whatever genius named it, was like Fireside episode whatever with 100% more standing. Like that said anything about, was it not you, one of you guys? Like that, it had nothing to do with anything that was addressed on the show. Like that's going to make everyone click on it. Like, oh, I like to watch Jake stand. Yeah, I bet it was Jeff. Oh, that son of a bitch. Yeah, we had to fire that guy. I wonder how Jeff's doing. We haven't seen him in a while. So this episode is solo by design, actually, because we, as a lot of you guys probably already know, we're in the middle of the Inside Fireside Finding Your Style mentorship. So we have 12 artists that we're working with week in and week out and trying to help them develop. And so we've got this private Facebook group that's turned out to be pretty, it's been a pretty good source of information and sharing of knowledge and all that kind of stuff. And this thread started within the group between two people, Mandy and Nathan. I won't use your last names, but I appreciate you guys starting this thread. And I thought I would chime in, and I was originally going to chime in and just let them know what I had to say about the subject. And then I thought, no, this is something that our entire community probably could gain from. And it's basically what I'm going to talk about is how to encourage your clients to open their minds and get the tattoos that you want to draw and that you want to do and help you build your own portfolio. I'm going to be rude for a second, get on my phone, and I'm going to let you know what started this entire thing. It's basically the guy, our artists were sharing some of their tattoos and some of their drawings, and we were kind of bouncing ideas back and forth, and it all started with text, being a client kind of pushing text into a tattoo. It was a sunflower tattoo, to be specific, and this artist Mandy was frustrated because the client wanted text crammed into it, and we've talked plenty on the show about how difficult it is to make text and imagery work well together without competing, without one distracting from the other. It's not easy, and so Nathan chimed in and said he's dealing with something similar. He basically said he has a client that wants to put 20 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag, which we've all dealt with. You know, David and I talk a lot about that when we talk about cornucopia tattooing and stuff like that. Let me pull down and see here. Just give me a second and give you some specifics on it. So basically, the thing that caught my attention in this is that Nathan said that he knew that this tattoo was a disaster from the start because the client came in with some very specific ideas, and it was too many ideas to fit in a tattoo. So feeling overwhelmed and not wanting to put the time into it, Nathan basically photoshopped and clipped a bunch of stuff together, added some masks and stuff in Photoshop, and made kind of a hodgepodge of a design and sent it over to the guy. And, of course, the guy didn't like it, turned it down, and came back to Nathan with even more imagery that other tattooers had done, other tattoos that probably had nothing to do with each other. I'm sure it was stylistically they were very different. And so this is really common. And what was frustrating about it to me, and not that I was frustrated with either Mandy or Nathan, it's just that this entire program is about finding your style as a tattooer. And the thing that I haven't done a good job of stressing is your clients are doing everything within their power, unintentionally, of course, to keep you from finding your style or from developing a style. And so I brought this up in the thread, and I told them that I had dealt with these same things, and that I thought it was important to kind of take control of your consultations and drive the conversation in the direction that you want it to go and ask pointed questions. So Nathan and Mandy responded and asked if we could do an episode on it or talk about it and get specific into what questions am I asking, how would I deal with someone that comes in that wants, as he says, 20 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. Or someone that wants, something as simple as text, in an image, or wants complete color control. In this thread, Mandy mentioned something about the person wanting a specific 3 or 4 colors based on their mom's favorite colors or different events in her life and things like that. And that stuff has giant effects on your finished product. And one thing that is important to keep in mind, and one thing that I ignored for so many years, as I've been over backwards trying to accommodate every whim that my client had, was these people don't draw. I mean, they're not making, when they show up with an idea, they're not making decisions based in a solid, like art fundamental mindset. It doesn't come from that. It comes from whatever. Who knows what it comes from? So it comes from a different place, no matter, depending on the person. So let's back up for just a second. I'm going to put this down and let's talk about, or let's put ourselves in the mindset of a client, and specifically someone that's not heavily tattooed, someone that is walking into a street shop and maybe doesn't have any tattoos, or maybe has 1 or 2 tattoos. They're walking into a very intimidating environment, right? They're not super comfortable, and they feel a little bit defensive, rightfully so, and they also feel like they have to have an idea. They have to have something to grab onto, something that they can give you. And sometimes people take that overboard and they start to dial in and think about a dozen things that they really like. And they feel like they're giving, that it's a benefit for you. They feel like they're going to give you all of this great information, and you're going to be able to, and the more information that you have from them, the better of a design you're going to be able to come up with. Well, sometimes when people walk in that way and they're a little bit defensive, and they've grabbed together a bunch of different information, they'll dial in on something, right? They'll dial in on, like, I forget what it was in Nathan's example, but it's like a specific tool or a piece of chain or something that had to be in the tattoo that was based on something the guy worked with every day. I don't know. It was something very specific that was really going to affect the design. Probably was going to be hard to find, and was really going to affect the design. So whenever someone comes in and they're really dialed in on what they want, and especially if it's a dozen things, the first question I ask is, if you could only have one of these things in this tattoo, what would it be? You've given me a list of 4 to 6 things. What's the most important element in this tattoo? And sometimes it's hard for people. And what I'll say is, look, we have to point people's eyes somewhere. There has to be something. There has to be a shape. There has to be an element in this design. In order to make a cohesive composition, there has to be an element in this design that is the most important thing, and everything else has to support it. It's the only way that it works. If you try to make everything the same size and you're just trying to separate with different bright colors or whatever, you end up with just a shitty tattoo every time. So what you need is a hierarchy. So I'll force someone. I'll say, if they don't know, I'll say, well, let's think about it. Let's meet again in a week. Or, you're not ready for this yet. Why don't you go home and think about it and call me back whenever you're ready, or schedule another consultation. A lot of times that'll get people thinking. Now, sometimes they'll know exactly what it is, and they'll tell you. And then my question to myself is, all right, can I make that element work? Is that a focal point for me? Can I visualize it? If I can't visualize it right off the bat, if I don't see something as I'm talking to them, I keep asking questions. I don't just jot it down and say, oh, I'll figure that out later. Because if it doesn't pop in my head some way to make sense of it right then, it's not going to be any clearer tomorrow or the next day, whenever when I've slept since then, I've eaten since then, I've met with other people since then, the thought isn't going to get any clearer in my head. So it's clearest right there when I'm talking to them, so I might as well solve all those problems right then. So let's say that they give me an element. They say, yeah, this is the most important thing, and it's whatever, X, Y, or Z, and it doesn't stand out to me. I'll ask, okay, is there anything else that would represent that just as well? Does it have to be that specific thing? And I just try to have a genuine conversation. And I'll tell them as we go, the reason I'm asking these questions is that I don't see how that's going to work here, because you want it in this area of your body. That's kind of a horizontal shape, and you're wanting it up your forearm. It feels like it's going to be, It's going to be distracting. It feels like it won't sit well. I'm trying to think of a way. And as long as you're like thinking out loud and sharing your process with them, I think that you'll find that people are really open to that. They know that you're thinking for them. They know that you're trying to come up with the best idea on their behalf. And the more that you talk out loud or think out loud, and the more genuine you are with them, the more sense that it will make. And then they'll start to go like, oh, okay, I see the problem with that. Okay, well, maybe that part's not that important. And you'll find that 9 times out of 10, people are not as dialed in on what they think they want as they actually are. A lot of times, they just want someone to make the decision for them, or to lead them to a great tattoo. And you can almost make anything symbolize what they want it to symbolize, right? I mean, you could say, oh, well, you like that, but what if we use something like this that could kind of say the same thing? I've done this on other people and it worked really well, and we could and it would flow better with this area of your body, or whatever it is. And most of the time that they'll go along with you because they want something that looks good. Okay. Secondly, they typically will want things to be very literal. They're not thinking abstractly enough, or they're not thinking that much about how symbolic it might be or whatever. They're thinking about, oh, if I'm walking down the street, I want to make sure everyone knows what this tattoo is about. You've got to get that out of their head right off the bat. It doesn't matter that everyone knows exactly what your tattoo says or what it means to you the second that they see it. That's really not what tattoos are about. Now, what you do want to convince them of is you want people to see it and it be a clean enough design that they want to get closer to it and ask questions about it, and then you can tell them exactly what it's about, right? So this idea that everything has to be spelled out in their tattoo is just crazy, and you got to get it out of people's heads. That's why I almost refuse to do text in tattoos. There are people that specialize in text, and I love it. I think it's beautiful, and whenever it's designed well and it's the only element, I think it's great. I think when you try to cram names against flowers or put stuff in banners, I think you almost always fail. Because by design, your text has to be bold and clean and dark in order to hold up for a long time. And for the most part, some other element of that design needs to be bold and clean and dark to be a focal point. So then suddenly you're dealing with multiple focal points and you don't know how to lay them out. And especially if it's a one sitting, a smaller tattoo, you end up with areas that are kind of competing with each other. Sorry. One other thing that I want to bring up, and this may be a fairly short show, but one other thing I want to bring up is that there's no reason to ever put a single tattoo above your portfolio, right? So if you're trying to build a portfolio of work, this tattoo can go away. It doesn't have to be part of it. So don't be afraid to turn something down. I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, you've been sitting around, you haven't done enough tattoos this week, and you got a family to feed and all that kind of stuff. But if you're really in this for the long term, and there are plenty of rewards in the long term. This is a great profession, and there's a lot of money in it, and you can support your family, and you can do the things that you want to do, and you can make people happy, and you can build a great business. You're really going to struggle to build a great business if you're bending to everyone's will. So don't be afraid to turn something down. I think you begin with the end in mind. I think every time someone walks up to do a consultation with you, or if it's a walk-in or whatever, I think that you say to yourself, what do I want my portfolio to look like in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 5 years? What's my hourly rate in 5 years? Am I traveling full time? Am I happy being right here doing this 5 years from now? Because I guarantee you, if you continue to take the exact same tattoos that are walking in every day and try to bend to the will of someone that does not draw and has no artistic sense day in and day out, you will have a mediocre at best portfolio. And a mediocre portfolio will keep you exactly where you are right now in tattooing. One final thing to touch on. The reason that I'm able to do this effectively, and the reason that I control my clientele, I control the tattoos that I take on, and the reason that my clients show up not knowing what they're going to get and allow me to draw directly on them and make decisions on the fly is because I work my ass off to be a good artist. I have a fundamental knowledge of how to build composition, of how to use value, of how to use edge, of how to use color, and how to break things down into abstract shape, make them flow with the body and work well. And I can verbalize it. I've made an effort to teach myself how to verbalize it. And whether I'm talking to another professional artist or whether I'm talking to someone that's never had a tattoo before, they know within 5 minutes of sitting in a conversation with me that I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'll do the best tattoo that I can possibly do for them. So that doesn't come quickly or easily. It comes from drawing your ass off every day. It comes from drawing from life constantly. It comes from reading art books. It comes from surrounding yourself with artists that are better than you all the time, and losing your ego and not being afraid to set up an easel next to someone that's been painting for 20 years and you have no idea what you're doing. You have to put all that aside and just be a sponge and look at things as they really exist in real life and try to represent them as accurately as you can. Now, I don't care if you're trying to be a photorealistic tattooer, if you're trying to be an American traditional tattooer, a Japanese traditional, or whatever it is you're trying to do. I don't care if you're doing mandalas all day. You need to understand how light reveals form, what sharp and soft edge does for the eye, how different colors sit in the skin. You learn that over time, obviously. What complementary color schemes or split complementary or analogous color schemes or tertiary schemes are. You need to study these things and make sense to yourself of what they actually are, what they do for you personally. It's not memorizing what's said in a book. It's applying it, looking at it honestly and saying, okay, that doesn't do anything for me. That color scheme doesn't work. Or, that edge is too bold for me. And making your own decisions based on your own experiences, based on how you see things. That's the only way to do this. So if you're trying to cheat it and you're just kind of only drawing for tattoos, kind of skirting by tough problems, and like for me, for example, I couldn't draw hands for years. I'm still not great at them, but so I would hide them. I would find a way to hide hands in tattoos, or I would overly stylize them so that they looked fake on purpose, like I thought I was tricking someone, by saying that I know what I'm doing whenever I obviously don't. So, focus on your weaknesses, make them stronger, learn to verbalize it, and people will respect you for it, and they'll trust you completely. My clients, almost all of them that I work on, which is not a huge group of people, but I work on the same people repeatedly, maybe the same 30 or 25 or 30 people over and over. And almost without fail, they will walk in without knowing what their drawing looks like and let me break out markers and work. And it's because we've been through this process together so many times. We've sat down. They didn't know me from Adam. They've come in with an idea. I've said I'm not comfortable with that idea. I don't think it'll work that well as a tattoo, and this is why I don't think it'll work that well. But here are some small changes I think we can make that would help it work. Or sometimes it's, let's just both brainstorm on it. Why don't you go home and bring me 3 more ideas, and we'll pick one that works the best. And normally it's a matter of sifting through all the shit and getting to something that you can make a design out of. So these cornucopia tattoos where they have, they need to control the color, they need to control every element, they need to fit it all on their shoulder blade. It's just got to go out the window. It's a matter of putting the longevity of your work before this $100 tattoo. Did I say it all? Maybe. Anyways, I hope that helped. And it takes discipline. You have to work at it. It doesn't come that quickly. Comes quicker than you think, though. It doesn't take that long. By the time you get comfortable enough verbalizing it, and by the time that you put the work in and get to a point where you're real comfortable drawing it from an abstract group of shapes all the way down to a specific tattoo, you'll have earned your client's trust by that period of time, I think. So just keep working at it. Be honest with your clients. Don't be afraid to tell them no, and just practice getting it out there. Just practice verbalizing your ideas. And whenever you say no, that won't work, be sure that you understand why it won't work, and help them troubleshoot, help them problem solve. That's it. I'm going to stop. I know that was kind of a short show, but I hope that helps. And Mandy and Nathan, thank you guys for letting me use your Facebook thread to make a show out of. I won't use your last name out of respect for your privacy. Yeah, that's not really true. But anyways, tattooimprovement.com. Sign up for our mailing list. And if you are interested in the next time we do the Inside Fireside group, shoot an email to inside@firesidetats.com with the subject line "I want in." We'll get you all the information that you need. I think we'll do another one late fall after Mandy and Nathan and all the other folks help us make this program just a little bit better. We're going to do it one more time and make it awesome. So thank you guys. Have a good night.